Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into WCS Paddle Sports YouTube channel. Seth here. Today I'm going to talk about the differences between the 2019 Hobie Outback and the Hobie Pro Angler 12. The Outback and the Pro Angler 12 used to be very, very different kayaks. It was kind of, you'd try one and you'd try the other, or you'd even just look at the two and tell these are made for very different things. And with the redesign for the Outback in 2019, those differences are a lot less noticeable. So I'm just going to very briefly run through the similarities between these two kayaks. Alright, so they both have the Mirage Drive 180 arc drive with turbo fins. Both have a mast up, so that's good for mounting the Hobie Sail Kit or the new Hobie Bimini. And they both have the Hobie Guardian transducer mount system. Now we can cover the differences. For starters, the Pro Angler 12 has a much more spacious cockpit, and it does actually have a higher capacity at 500 pounds. While the 2019 Outback does actually have a good bit more cockpit space than the previous Outback generation did, it's still a good bit smaller than the PA12, and it does only have a 425 pound capacity as opposed to that 500 pound capacity on the Pro Angler. Next, we're going to have a look at storage capacity, starting with the front hatch. PA12, not as big of a front hatch as the PA14, the thing is enormous, but still a lot of space here, and it does come with that included hatch liner, while the 2019 front hatch is noticeably smaller and does not include that hatch liner. And in the cockpit on your PA12, you'll have a rectangular hatch. This one runs side to side and comes with the Hobie tackle tray already built in with two Plano boxes. And now the 2019 Outback does come standard with a rectangular hatch, however it's run from the front to back and instead comes with a rectangular hatch tray. Moving towards the stern, the Pro Angler 12 really just has an enormous amount of deck space back here for you to store coolers, crates, and so on, and it has that included round hatch that you're looking at here. And the 2019 Outback, the rear storage here is massively upgraded from the previous generation. However, it's still a good bit smaller than the Pro Angler and does not have that round hatch. Now for rod storage on the PA12, you do have the Hobie H-Rail rod racks that run into your little tip protectors on the front of the boat. Then behind the seat, you'll have those two molded in vertical rod holders. Now the 2019 Outback does not come with any included horizontal storage, but it does have two vertical rod holders behind the seat as well as two up in the front. Now for your mounting options on the Pro Angler, you've got a mounting plate with a track built in up front, and of course the massive H-rails that run all the way from the front of the boat to the back. Now on the Outback, you've got the H-Rail Deluxe, which does have a gear track built into it, as well as the H-Track running right alongside of it. So you've got some good mounting options here. In the rear, you have a similar setup, it's just you have the track here with no rail. One of the biggest differentiators here is the seat. The Outback seat is comfortable, but the Pro Angler seat is still the best out there. It is just a lawn chair with tons of adjustment. You can sit up super high and get really comfortable, as well as reclining, and it is super simple to operate. So you can really get this thing dialed in, and it's, I mean, honestly, it's just like sitting in your recliner at home when you get it set up. It's incredible. And of course, next to your seat, you've got your H-Rail cup holder. 2019 Outback does have an upgraded seat from all of the other Vantage CT seats. This is the CTW, so it's an 1.5 inches wider than those other Vantage CT seats that you'll see on the other Hobie kayaks on the market. Still a very comfortable seat, extremely adjustable. You're just not able to get it quite as dialed in as that Pro Angler Vantage seat. And to keep your drink handy, you've got a cup holder on either side of the seat. Alright, for steering, your Pro Angler's got dual rudder control on risers on either side of the seat, so really easy access there. That's going to be running to your huge rudder blade that's on the back. You've also got a skeg on the Pro Angler 12, so this is a big fin that retracts up into the hull, and then when you release it, it drops down, and that just helps a lot with tracking, keeps you from getting blown around in high wind. Since this boat does stick out of the water a good bit higher, you've got a little more freeboard, so the skeg is pretty necessary for this design. And you also have rudder tension control in the cockpit, which is a pretty neat feature. Now on the 2019 Outback, you also have dual steering, which is nice. That's an update from previously when you only had your steering on the left-hand side. And under the back of the boat, you've got a smaller rudder blade than the Pro Angler. It's an easier handling boat, so it doesn't require as much rudder. And for transportation, on the bow of the Pro Angler, you've got this nice beefy handle, and on the back you've got a nice H-rail handle. On the Outback, you've got your simple Hobie T handle on the front, and then on the stern an H-rail handle that's really similar to the one on the PA12. One thing you've got on the Outback that you don't have on the Pro Angler is you do actually have carry handles under the seat on the side here, so that helps actually a bit with lifting and loading. So I took some video with the GoPro here just to kind of show you all what the difference is when you're sitting in these boats. And the really most notable things that you can take away from this are, first, that cockpit space that I mentioned earlier. You'll see as I'm sitting in the PA12 there's a lot of room here, but also how much more accessible everything is from the seat in the Pro Angler. So when we're just talking about your rudder up-down lines, your transducer line for the Guardian, your skeg line, everything is just right there by the seat, super easy to get to and use. Rudder handles are just in a nice relaxed position right under your hand, and everything's really just right there. Getting into your rectangular hatch is super easy, get into your tackle, so it's really well set up. Alright, so on the Outback, like I mentioned, not as much cockpit space. Still, you know, you'll see here I'm about 6 feet tall and 170, so I'm not a small guy, I'm not a huge guy. I fit in here pretty comfortably, but it's definitely snug. So you're not having all that space to move around like you do in the PA12, and because you have so much stuff kind of crammed into this smaller cockpit, what you'll see here is that when I want to do things like reach for the transducer cable to lift the transducer on the Guardian system or release the rudder, those lines are a good bit further forward and just require a little bit of reach. And everything else is just as accessible. Your gear tracks, so anything you've got mounted, like your fish finder and your rod holder, is still super close, and then your hatch is still easy to access. Your rudder controls are still right under your hands there. All in all, I'd say it's still a really great layout. It's just not quite as comfortable as the Pro Angler 12. Thanks again for tuning in to WCS Paddle Sports TV. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave us a like and a subscribe. If you've got any questions about the Pro Angler 12 or the Outback or any other Hobie kayaks in general, just leave a comment below and let us know. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a good one.